Welcome to the Automaticist.
Hello and welcome back to Byte of Minecraft. And get me out of this cage. So today we have Optifine in the new, well, it's not new, in the very old urban environment of West Circle.
So, of course, this is my server. And there's a new building up. So I guess I'll show that. So it is very far from complete, but it's down in this area of town. Sort of covering up some stuff. I don't really care too much about that. Now you'll notice that the first floor is much smaller. But the second floor and onward is much bigger. So we can take a look at the interior. This is just like a lobby space, basically. And up here,
And all the floors are going to be like this. You can see these are all the other floors.
luckily this time I built it just the perfect height. So this is actually a full height of a floor. So that's sort of exciting that we're getting a new building. Let's see how long this one takes to finish. But it's right there, sort of on this road right here, because that's where there was a space for it. And I said, hey, that's in a green space. There should not logically be green space at this point, so there's a building now. And we still have to give windows to the Archimele building, but that will come. So what I wanted to do, actually, was not lag out. Whoa, we just lagged straight through the floor. Or straight through the ceiling. I hope you saw that. And now we're trapped. Well, that's what you get. There we go. So we can see the whole city from up here. How high are we? Over 1,000 blocks, no big deal. We even need to use the zoom in feature just to see our stuff. Look how small it is. Oh man, yep, those are some more buildings just loading in. Let's actually get a little closer. I know we wanted to see it from high up, but I wasn't imagining this high up. There we go. Now I feel like we can get a better idea of what the city looks like from really high in the air. I mean, we are several times the build limit in the sky. So it should make for an interesting experience. Here we go. This isn't even the whole thing, but we can sort of see it's basically the size of a small biome. And where we are is actually not that far away from the city, even though it looks like we are. Although just flying regular, that would take quite a bit, but with the Elytra, we can get there fast. It really comes on you quite suddenly. And we wouldn't want to glitch out again, that would be bad. Great. So again, there's the Apple Store. And then there's this sort of apartment building. I mean, when you're down at this level, whoa! Inside of the building. It's unloading. Okay. You know, when you're just, like, only flying at this level, it doesn't really seem like this, like, huge, interesting thing. But, you know, as we can see, it's a pretty interesting city, I guess, from up here. Now that we've loaded so much more. Obviously these buildings are still like sliced in half by the rendering. Don't quite know why that it made us look like we're almost approaching the build height limit, but we are still up at 435. We are not, as it would seem, approaching the build height limit at all. So it's just sort of a thing. Load in more chunks. Want to load chunks? You just use the C key. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can really get a sense of like, yeah, it gets gradually more urban. I feel like this sort of makes sense. Oh man, even that way in the corner, that looks small. Of course, that's not the whole thing. As we can see, you know, this farm is actually pretty huge, but not exactly by this standard. There we go, loading in just a little bit. Let's fly down to it. Yeah, this is actually a huge structure. But from up there, you couldn't really see that. It's not something you notice when you're 1,000 blocks in the air. I mean, next to all these buildings, it's not as big as I used to think it looked. And we've got a lot more going on nowadays than we ever did before. You know, if we fly around manually, it's going to take a while. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Slowly panning out till we can see all the rendering errors all at once. We really need to load that in. So what's great about render distance, even though it doesn't really work on the server has a render distance of, I think it's 16 chunks. I have a render distance of 64 chunks. So I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now these buildings are whole again. So we have 3 build height limit buildings. And of course, you know, gradually there will be more of those and they're just going to sort of take over. Eventually everything is going to be a huge building, but right now, not everything has to be. It's really starting to look like a real city. Even though there's like no housing or no suburbs at all. It's not so realistic in that sense, but it looks nice. It's very dense in here downtown. Buildings are right next to each other. And, you know, that's how Omega would be. You know, going back to saying, hey, this is from my books. Right? Omega is a very efficient place. And now we can see the theater. I guess we loaded that part in. You can see just how far that render distance is. You know, the 64 blocks or chunks. It's quite a distance. You know, we could theoretically load in stuff that's all the way to the edge of that. It's just like a nice view. Just take it in, right? Like that's everything. And yeah, it's the size of a biome. A small biome. But I'm still right. Now, when this theater was originally built, there was nothing by it. It was just over here in its own little corner, and you had to go like all this distance, basically to right here. There was nothing in between, but now we have 2 tall buildings, several smaller buildings. Yeah, I used to think that Port Station was a huge building in this area, but now it's not. Now the theater's sort of right there. There's stuff that isn't even loaded in yet, like college, which only really has 1 building. University of Omega, very prestigious. Not at this time though. You can really see it's like, yep, the city looks like it's like in the distance. It's a lot closer than it looks. I would say that it looks about this close. I don't know. This is an interesting part down by the docks. Hasn't really been touched as much simply due to the presence of these teleporters and then the buildings that have been built up around them. I've sort of sworn never to build above here. So you can see, you know, the rain and all. It's a completely walled in area though. I guess that's sort of my vision, was that you could be like indoors when you're not indoors. This has sort of reached that point in a lot of places. You know, it happened naturally over here, but it happened intentionally right here, and there's nothing behind these teleporters. You know, the prison is sort of also tucked away in its own little corner. I was inspired to build that after being in California and visiting Alcatraz. And I said, I'm going to make something even more secure. So I started to do it. And of course, when I said that, I meant Minecraft. It just unloads as soon as I get to it. Imagine that. Standing on nothing. Oh, there we go. It's a really separated city, I guess. Oh, that just unloads right in front of me. I noticed that Optifine has these problems where it'll do that, and it'll be annoying. We can see this building, and we can't. It's really bad. Like, you can be right in front of stuff, like right here, and there, it loaded in. I do not like that at all. It just decides it wants to do that. Maybe if I turn my render distance down. No, the server has a render distance of 16. Let's keep it there at 16. Let's just reload all the chunks, since we can. Now, hopefully it won't do that as much. Although it still has to render these whole building heights. Otherwise, they don't look right. Now, this is really the transition here, right? This is definitely in the city. This is definitely still in the city, but less so. You're getting out to like here by now. You're already on the outskirts of the city. So it's not too large. It also isn't too realistic. That would just collapse in the real world. So, aside from all the tall buildings, if we sort of go past all that, this is really the edge of like where tall buildings sort of stop. Or rather, small buildings sort of stop. You know, like there's buildings like this that, yeah, they're just one story. But really past this, you start getting some more buildings that I use /fill that just make big, boring buildings. Like up here. It's like, you can tell the different eras, right? This was built by hand, or parts of it. These are /fill monsters that are just designed to fill up the space and make it look a certain way. This is placed manually. This is a lot more recent. And then you sort of get past this, past these big buildings, you get back to smaller buildings because I realized that we need some, and these are really small. But hey, yeah, that's that. And as you'll notice, there is starting to be just a little bit of housing. Now, some of these are like apartments, that's a hotel, that's apartments. But you do need like suburbs. Okay. Big /fill buildings that aren't very tall are also on both sides, so not north and south, but east to west. So if we look over here, I don't know if Optifine is messing this up. I can see inside the power plant while not being inside the power plant. What's up with that? I don't want this. Oh. Ew. We're not lagging or anything. Huh, reload the chunks always works for chunk errors. Now we can see, you know, these are your boring gray buildings. makes sense. I guess this is the industrial side of town. It's sort of become that. It's interesting. There's like no zoning here. Obviously, it's just all in my head. But because the power plant was here, it made more sense to put other industrial stuff right there. So it's really close. You know, it comes right up. And these are all your utility things that make sense inside of a city, right? This is like, these are where the minecarts go for the minecart system. These really despawned, didn't they? And there's all these, you know, furnaces, crafting tables. I guess this looks industrial enough. There's nothing in the chests, though. So it's just sort of become warehouse land, kind of. Well, there's only a little bit of that. I haven't done too much in terms of extending that. This is a fun little clock. It just runs automatically. The items tick through. It takes a while, but yeah, it is what it is. So that's what this big flat upper city is becoming. I think the original point was that the upper city, all this bedrock, was going to be like the industrial and also the commercial areas, and then the residential stuff was going to be, you know, down here. Because it feels more homey, I guess. And to go to work, you just take an elevator. Also have the GPS set extremely high here, so I'll just demonstrate that. We'll just go to this tree. Think about how long leaves normally take to decay. We're just gonna break this, and it's gone. We just deleted the tree. So that's one thing that we can do here. You know, that's just gonna be a thing that Omegians live with, is that things happen quickly around here. Because we're, I don't know, gods of some sort. It used to be a clean room. There's still items in here. That's why the glass is there. So, you know, past this, there's these houses. These were some of the first houses that I actually built, and I used it sort of copy and paste. I used structure blocks to make these. And these are, you know, larger houses. These have been there forever, I feel like. Oh, why isn't this loading in? Come on. Ugh. We're not lagging. Chunks just don't want to load. Alright, well, since chunks won't load, I guess that's it for now. There's really not anything I can do. We're just stranded here. Where even are we? So, thank you very much for watching. And I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and share.